Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business. What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now Podcast, a podcast specifically designed to keep you caught up on all things hip hop, music, and culture that happened throughout the week. Big shout out to the subscribers right here on this podcast. We are at 5,000 subscribers, 5,200 if you want to be specific. But appreciate everybody that subscribed. Welcome to new subscribers. Shout out to those listening in audio form and those who have been listening for quite some time. This podcast has been around for 9 years. 9 years, okay? I've been doing podcasting longer than that. I'm from the blog era also. I'm from the radio, college radio, hip hop era. I'm from all of it, okay? Certified, okay? OG. Don't call me young. You ain't my family. Or maybe we use fam. I don't know. Whatever. But shout out to y'all who have been subscribed. And the best thing you can do, and I say it all the time, is share with people you know who enjoy this kind of content. Weekly hip hop news and perspectives right here on Hip Hop Now Podcast. And in 2025, or if we're really counting late 2024, we are doing interviews. We're not doing a lot of interviews. We're not doing everybody. Interview isn't the focus of this podcast channel, but in 2025, I decided to do certain interviews, right? Just like I'm deciding to do certain partnerships with this podcast. So not only the content, keep your eye on other things. Speaking of interviews, the last interview I did was with I Am God, Chicago MC, who's on the rise. I guess pause for y'all pause guys, but who's on the rise. And lyrically, no cap, y'all, no cap. Lyrically, if you care about bars, you need to press play. The interview's right here on the channel. You can click the link, you can check it out. It's not no 3-hour joint, asking a ton of questions. It's really getting to the specifics of his influences, who he is, who he wants to be as an MC, and really the method to his madness when it comes to how he does what he does. So check that out on the channel, I Am God interview. Big shout out to hiphopdx.com, Double XL Mag, and a couple of places where I get my stories from. Let's get right to the business stuff. So apparently there is an previously unreleased track listing for Biggie's second album, Life After Death, an album that I believe is Diamond now, or been Diamond. For those who don't know, that's Diamond is 10 million records sold. That's how you hit Diamond. Everybody's not that. Few of your favorite rappers who you would think, and singers who you would think have sold plenty of records, you would think they would be Diamond, but they're not. It's an exclusive list. Look it up. But if you don't know me, I am a Biggie Smalls fan, not just because I'm from Brooklyn, right? And do not pretend like everybody from Brooklyn was a Biggie fan, because that wouldn't be true. But obviously, there are a lot of people who were. For me, he's my favorite rapper all time. I just connected with his music and his style and his thought process more than most of my favorites throughout the years. And Life After Death was an album that it was bittersweet in '97 when that album dropped, because it dropped a couple of weeks after Biggie was murdered. And I remember going to the record store. I was in B-More that day. Me and the homies went to the record store. Now, sidebar, we already had the album, like kind of on bootleg and some kind of pieced together pieces. Obviously not in the best quality, but we had been rocking most of it for a while. So this was the opportunity to get the official. with a ton of songs we haven't heard. And I remember being in the record store and it was like silence. It was a line too. It was like before the record store opened, it was a line and it was like silence on the line. And everybody was looking at each other kind of new, right? Like if this was I don't even know if there would have been a line out the door. Like obviously it would have sold if Biggie was still alive, but I don't know about, line out the door before the record store opens. Probably, but there was just a vibe in the air because we knew what happened and we knew why we were there. So it's interesting to learn some more stuff about it. So this is coming from hiphopdx.com and it says Biggie's original Life After Death track list leaks with unheard songs and surprise guests. Wait a minute. Whoa, 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 whoa. They have the audio? Because if they have the audio, y'all gonna have to hold on. I'm gonna go get it. But the article also says Biggie's original track list for Life After Death has surfaced, revealing several unreleased songs and a few surprise collaborations. The track list, which was unearthed by the Instagram account 92 Bricks, stems from a January 1997 listening party, for the now iconic album, which was originally titled Life After Death Till Death Do Us Part. I remember that. At the event, there were 28 tracks played, four more than the 24 that appeared on the final version, although one song appears twice on the original track list, which may have been a printing error, suggesting the album was originally 27 songs. The original track list features not only a completely reworked order, but 5 songs that have yet to be heard by the public. That's interesting because as much as they've repurposed Biggie songs to kind of create new ones, is usually songs that are being repurposed for now, which they all suck, if you ask me. Or they're taking something from early Biggie, like pre-Ready to Die demo tape, maybe even preparing for Ready to Die Biggie, which is hit or miss sometimes when you hear those lyrics. But Biggie from 97, maybe 96, unheard, is crazy. There must be some rights issues because I don't know why Diddy, I gotta say his name. I don't know why he didn't put those out in some form or like on the anniversary edition, which is crazy. But who knows? Let's see. The original track list features not only a completely reworked order, but 5 songs that have yet to be heard by the public. These include Once Upon a Time featuring Fat Joe. I think I remember that. Staying Alive. I think that was on the mixtape. Staying Alive and untitled tracks produced by RZA, Easy Mo B, and DJ Clark Kent. This is Crazy Town. I am going to hold up, y'all. Hold up. I'm going to bookmark this for myself because I need to go back and do some research. But thinking about that and shout out to them. What's the Instagram again? 92 Bricks. Shout out to 92 Bricks. You might want to go follow them if they're breaking stuff like this. We need these. We need all samples to be cleared. We need all the rights. We need the producers to give the okay. We need all of that. And we need a new, and who knows, maybe it was in the works, but we need like a new deluxe version of Life After Death with all the sound quality being great. You need it, okay? You may not need it. You may be like, Big was cool, but I really will get out of here. I don't care what you feel, okay? But for those of us who love the notorious B.I.G., aka Biggie Small, aka Big Papa, aka Frank White, we need that, okay? So we'll see if we get it, but I'm gonna go digging. I don't know about y'all. Recently, Kendrick Lamar's sophomore album, To Pimp a Butterfly, celebrated 10 years. Now, it sounds crazy, but it's not that crazy because time just passes and we forget and, we move on to other things, and all of a sudden now something is 5 years old or 10 years old or 30 years old. And just for me personally, as a Kendrick Lamar fan, reflecting on his catalog, the stuff that's happened today, but specifically that album coming off of what I would definitely call a classic in Good Kid, Mad City. To Pimp a Butterfly could have went in the other direction, right? It's a very different album from Good Kid, Mad City in concepts and beats. Hold up, my chair just lowering by itself. Cameraman, cool. Uh, in concepts and beats and flows, um, inspirations, collaborators, right? To Pimp a Butterfly had a lot of jazz cats, and people like Bilal and Andre 3000 collaborate to try to make something special. And when I reviewed this album back in, I guess that was 2015, I liked it, but it took me some time because now, 20 2020 vision, basically. What is it? Hindsight is 2020. Messing it up. 2027 vision on television, whatever. Looking back at it, Kendrick has this, when you look at his albums, he has this pattern that happens, right? When you look at Good Kid, Mad City, it's kind of like you get the jams, you get the street talk, you get all of that, right? And then To Pimp a Butterfly was like a concept album, right? It was like a dedication to black men and kids, or boys, I should say, black people in general, Tupac. It was really themed in a way that spoke to black men with most of its songs and most of its themes. And then after that, you got Damn, which was kind of like Good Kid, Mad City, where you get the jams, you still get the storytelling, but you kind of get the traditional hip hop out, right? And then, and we're not counting Untitled. I know it was in there, but then you get Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, another concept album, right? Where it's really focused on this theme. And though you may find a jam or two in there, it's really about the concept. And then you come to 2024 with GNX. Hopefully, I'm not leaving anything out. I think that's all of the albums. But with GNX, now you're back to the jams. The theme may be West Coast, but there's a lot more bops on the project. So we would assume Kendrick's next album is going to be another concept album if he keeps that up. But To Pimp a Butterfly was the first time he did it, and coming off an album that most people consider his best album in his catalog. So it was a chance. He could have hit that sophomore slump, if people weren't feeling it. But I think the timing of this type of album was perfect because, there was the whole Black Lives Matter movement where his single, All Right, kind of became a theme for that. And, like when he performs, people can get upset, like at the Super Bowl, that he didn't perform that one. So it had probably his most memorable hit because people are holding on to that All Right song more than the jams he got on Good Kid, Mad City. But at the time, again, when I did the review, what I liked most about it was the fact that it also was the other underlying theme in this album was the inspirations from black music, right? There was jazz elements, there were funk elements. Kendrick even, like, for example, for those who don't know, if you listen to GNX, you listen to Reincarnated, right? It's it's basically a Tupac beat, and he's rapping like Tupac. Same flow as Tupac, same inflections in his voice that Tupac would do, right? So when you go back to Pimp a Butterfly, I forget the record, but Kendrick has a song where he's basically rapping like James Brown would talk on records, right? And it's really like a funk filled kind of jam type thing. So To Pimp a Butterfly, if you ask me, is a classic. because nobody at that time was doing something like that, taking those kinds of chances. And I'm talking about musically, doing that in a way that honors black music and not only hip hop. Sure, like if you want your hardcore, K dot boom bap, the Black of the Berry was that for sure. But there were other records, right? So it was just an album that had so much going on with it musically that, yeah, some people didn't like it when it came out because they wanted Good Kid, Mad City Part Two. They wanted that vibe, and that's why those fans probably like, damn. But people like me who like it all, I don't mind a concept album as long as the concept is something I can sink my teeth into as far as listening to it, enjoying it, because there is entertainment, but also walking away with some, I don't know, some gems that I could reflect on myself. And I don't mean necessarily like y'all do with Jay-Z, where Kendrick's like, hey man, clean up your house. And I'm like, word, Kendrick. Yeah, he told me I should clean up my house, man. Yo, he's something else. No, clean up your house yourself. I'm talking about gems of things you can relate to. That's what endures us to artists that we like, right? Is we can relate to them in one way or another. You could be poor and relate to somebody who's talking about money all the time, because typically in hip hop, they're not just talking about having it, but they always talk about where they were and how they got it. And that's what you can attach yourself to if you don't have money, right? The journey to get the road to the riches, so to speak. So I think it's a great album. I think it's a great album to go back to in hindsight, especially those who may like Kendrick Lamar now more than they did before, or they just start getting into his music. Going back and listening to Pimp a Butterfly and understanding why it was that, right? Because a lot of people, and I'm not throwing any shade because I do it with certain artists also. I have a lot of music. When I just want to hear something like this new West Side Gun album, I just love the whole vibe of it, right? I love the bars, I love the beats, I love everything that's being said, except for when that one part where he be kind of, yeah, I don't really like that. But for the most part, I just like it. So it doesn't have to be, intellectually engaging and all that stuff. And oh, I need to walk away with gems. No, I just like it because it's dope. But when I do want something that feels good like that, then I'll go listen to Pimp a Butterfly. If I haven't listened to Mr. Morale and Big Steppers in a while, maybe I gear myself up to listen to that. Or if I just feel like listening, I want to listen to Kid Cudi, Kids See Ghosts. I'll go listen to that. So I just want to say that there's a difference between a music fan and a fan of hip hop, right? A fan of hip hop could like all of hip hop, or they might just like boom bap, or they might just like music they could ride to. All of that's cool. But what Kendrick did with To Pimp a Butterfly, again, with that theme of black music and black people and black men and boys, and celebrating that and talking about it to a depth that we can relate to on a number of levels, I think is worth another listen. 10 years from now, it was great music. And I was surprised when he got the Pulitzer for Damn. I thought he deserved it for To Pimp a Butterfly, because Damn is a great album, but it's mostly what we would expect. It's just straight up a hip hop album. To Pimp a Butterfly was art, sonically, musically. So, what do you think about To Pimp a Butterfly 10 years later? Did you like it when it came out? Did it grow on you? Do you not care? Do them alien noises that Kendrick be making make you say, nah, man, I can't listen to this, man? He making alien noises. Uh, leave your comments in the comment section below. And lastly, so I know y'all have seen it. I've tweeted and posted about it and all that good stuff. Yes, I'm on Twitter, but it's complicated. I'm on Blue Sky and everything else. I'm everywhere at Vegas World INC. But and he's not the only one. Maybe the only one that's been extreme, right? But Kanye West crashing out with an album on the way is nothing new. It's nothing new. Now, you may have preferred the crash outs of the past, right? You may have found them funny. You may have agreed with them. But some of these more recent crash outs, slavery was a choice and swastika chains and stuff, it's just stupid at this point. And the only reason why I don't just look at Kanye West as being like, oh, he's racist or blah, 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 is because he's been doing this since day one. He always feels like and most people's, like, as far as athletes and competitive rappers, like to stay in the underdog position even if they're not in the underdog position, because the music, the momentum, their drive isn't great if they ain't got to fight their way out of it to be at the top. Even when they're already at the top, even when they're already rich or popular or whatever, that's kind of what fuels them, what fuels their music. And with him in particular, he's always done this, right? From award shows, being on stage doing stuff. Now I even question him saying George Bush don't care about black people on the 9/11 thing, right? Because he was right, and I was glad he said it. But did he say it because he needs to take every opportunity to put the attention on him? I don't know. It's just that what he does now after decades of doing it, as far as saying things for attention, makes me question the things that I like that he said that were for attention to some people. Well, now he's just ridiculous. Now he's looking for, what can I say to get everybody to look at me? And I'm gonna keep going until they are all looking at me. And now it's getting to the point where it's so sad that he does that, that it's not going to work the way it used to, right? It used to benefit him before. Oh, the fashion industry don't want to let me in. I make my own slave homeless people clothes that look like skin or whatever. But I don't know. I don't buy that stuff. But you know what I mean? Like, he just kind of does this all the time. The first time, he did it in a way that was kind of like, oh, I kind of like that, was like when 50 Cent was releasing his album Curtis, and I think Graduation was being released by Kanye West. And it was like, who will win the battle, blah, blah, blah. And at first they tried to play it up like it was beef. Then, it was more about marketing. Obviously, Kanye won because Graduation is my favorite album in his catalog. Um, but he's just kind of been doing this. And now he's at a point where, excuse me, he has this album that he leaked. I don't know how that goes when you say you leaked your album. You released it. When we call releases leaks. Um, I think it's called Bully Volume 1, and some people heard it. I haven't, because I think I'm tapped out at this point. But he releases that joint on the heels of the swastika chain and wearing a swastika shirt, trying to just rile people up in public, online. And then he goes on these rants. And then he went on a rant, a particular tweet that he deleted, where he talked about Jay-Z and Beyonce's twins. And he used a word that's not even politically correct anymore about them being mentally challenged, I should say. I don't even know if that's it now. But about them, but then he deletes it. But that was the thing that got most people really riled up, right? Because you were already doing dumb stuff, right? Your wife naked, and every time we see her, we got questions about that. kind of worried about the kids being around you at this point, and then you turn around and do that, but then you delete it real quick. Come on, Kanye. You need to go get some serious help. We know he admitted to suffering from being bipolar and whatever else. And we know it feels like the change happened once his mother died. Because if you watch that documentary on Netflix, um, especially the first part where you get to see him with his mother for the first time in their relationship, some people, obviously, everybody love them. Well, I won't say everybody. Some people don't, but most people should love their mama and have a relationship as a child, and as an adult with their mama on a certain level, right? This is my mother. Boom. But Kanye has one of those relationships where they were almost like friends also. And she was like his ground. She grounded him basically, right? Like she kept him grounded, I should say. When he was around her, it was a different vibe. It was a different Kanye, right? She was his calm, so to speak. So we know that whole situation probably played into where he is today. And honestly, and I'm really not trying to wish this on anything, but he could harm himself at some point, because I don't know why you would want to drive the hate up so high with the things you're saying just for people to listen to your album. There's a lot more going on there. And he's the only one crashing out to this level for engagement. But like I said, Jim Jones, to me, he been doing that every 5 seconds. He want to say every 5 seconds, we put 10 million up so we could box your face, box your mouth. Shut up, man. No, nobody wants to see that. And the more you make these, let's do this together, even if it's back and forth, and the dudes that ignore you, it just makes you look desperate. You're looking to battle everybody, nobody responds. You're looking to battle Pusha T, then you make a response in front of closed bodegas and garbage cans, probably in a place you don't live, right? Because you got money. Why would you, whatever. It just looks desperate. And these aren't the only two rappers doing things like this, right? Like, again, like Jim Jones' album, I like it, but I think a lot of people won't hear it because they don't like the way he's been getting down, right? He seems fake. He's coming up on the wrong side of his spat with Cameron. But it's not just them. It's not just Kanye. It's not just Jim Jones. It's other things other rappers do, and maybe not crashing out, but do things that take away some of the admiration we may feel about them musically, like Ghostface, right? Ghostface, he's just in the Bitcoin, and it feels like somebody else is running his account, and he's cool with it. And I guess when people start complaining, that's when they pop out. I'm working on music. That's why people follow you, dog. They don't care about Bitcoin and all of that. Make a separate page for that and talk all that Ghostface Bitcoin, you know what I mean? Straight up and down. Like, make that over there. And then the people who are into Bitcoin, and especially into it because it's Ghost, let them go over there. But it's been happening because a lot of these rappers, in a lot of ways, when you show this level of desperation, there's something you need. With Kanye, he says all of this and people buy up his music. So I don't know if it matters that much. Same thing with the clothes with him. But I think for him, the engagement matters personally. Whereas somebody like Jim Jones, I think he's just trying to sustain something, right? He maybe business slowed a little bit, and the more he engaged, the more people go to be like, let me check out his music, and the streams go up, even though they don't pay a lot. Maybe the bookings increase and stuff like that. And I honestly, again, I think his new album is good, like really good to me. Hold up, my chair going down again. We're gonna have to fix this, Lord. uh, but all in all, it's a trend in hip hop that I don't like personally. I don't like when Tyler Quali argues with people every day, all day. I don't need to see that on my timeline, dog. I just want to know what you're working on. I just want you to talk hip hop. I can't say that he should have to or anybody like him should have to, but again, it sort of taints what you liked about them. That connection I talked about early on with being able to relate to somebody. Once you realize they're more into the shenanigans, whatever they may be, you can't really rock. And if you can't rock with that, then they're not relatable to you no more. Then you're less likely to check out their new album in some cases, depending on who you are and who they are. So I don't know. What do you think about this topic? Rappers crashing out for engagement. Do you not care? Do you like some of it? Um, do you feel like it impacts the music in a positive or negative way? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Shout out to everybody listening on audio form where you can get this podcast. Apple Podcast, Spotify, and everywhere else. And also on YouTube, where because we already hit the this year's goal of 5,000 subscribers, we're on the road to 10,000. So if you like this content, hit the like button. If you love it, subscribe to the podcast. But more importantly, share it with people you know enjoy this kind of content. Until next time, y'all, I'm not a critic, I'm a fan. Peace.